We go straight into our next session, and our next session is about the future of hybrid workspace places and smart technology, and that session is powered by Spacewell. So we're going to start off with Erik van Bael. I hope he is already with us. Let's see if he is. Hello, Erik, are you with us? I hope he is. Erik, can you hear us? Now he can hear us, probably.
Hi, Erik. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you very loud and clear.
Excellent. Great. Good morning, everyone.
It's great to have you with us.
It really is.
Likewise, same here. Hopefully, Christian is going to join us as well, my co-presenter for the day.
Yeah, is he? Should he be on already, or are you giving a first keynote yourself?
Well, I will start, but as agreed, I will take the first 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
then I will hand over to him quite quickly. So I'm expecting him to join as well.
I hear that he is already attending, so you can start, and after 10 minutes we will give him the podium as well.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you.
Do you have a presentation that you'd like to share?
Yes, one moment. Let me just pull that up.
Let's see if everything is working.
Oh, something's happening.
Yeah, there it is. There we go.
There we go.
Excellent. We've crossed another hurdle. This is going well.
All right.
We need to go back to these physical events.
Right?
Yeah.
It'll be too easy.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Okie-doke, there you go.
All right, good. Are you giving me the go, Wouter, to start?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, we're live. Okay, great. Good. Well, a very good morning, everyone, and it's a pleasure to join this event. It's great to still have events in a virtual way, so thank you for having me. My name is Erik van Bael. I am the CEO of Spacewell, and I will be joined in this session by Christian Goettsche, who is the head of facility management at PostNord. So I will take the first 10 minutes. Christian will take the next 10 minutes, and then we'll have some interaction and some Q&A. I've already enjoyed very much the first part of the event. And if I may, for people that don't know Spacewell, we are part of the Nemetschek Group, and the Nemetschek Group is really a pioneer in digitizing the building industry, spanning the entire life cycle of a building. So from planning and design, where we make a digital model, it could be a BIM model, to software solutions that support the construction phase of the building life cycle. And then Spacewell is in the third phase, basically the operate and manage phase, where we focus through smart building technology and a number of other technologies and products that we combine to bring a better user experience. So we're also very much focused on improving that link that was talked about earlier between design, construction, and managing the building and creating that feedback loop with a focus on the occupants of the building. So to get us going, what I will first share with you are maybe a couple of numbers that tell a story, and these are coming from some external studies that we track. This one is from a CBRE study that was done recently, indicating what I think has been touched already this morning, that we can basically see that at least 50%, and it's definitely a lot more, of the companies are planning to change their workplace concepts. And obviously, this trend was already in flow, I would say, but clearly accelerated by the COVID pandemic. And you see some interesting numbers there. At the bottom right, you can see that more than 10% of the respondents to that study indicate that more than 3/4 of the workforce would be working remotely from homes. And so this is about the balance between remote working and in the office working. And more than 40% in the middle, you can see, is kind of balanced, where the companies expect kind of a 50-50 between remote working and office working. And then you have 40% who say at least 25% of the population will be working remotely. So that is clearly a shift, an accelerated shift. And if you combine that with some numbers that we already had before, before the pandemic, I'm sorry, then you can see that it's really now the right time to think about space optimization before you really get engaged in the return to the office, which is happening at different speeds in different companies. So you can see on the left, and again, I stress these numbers are from before the pandemic. We could see also from our client data that we measure that 82% of meeting room seats, so this is not about the conference rooms, but about the number of seats that you have in a conference room, are not used. Which indicates a lot of conference rooms are not used, but also that we see that with many of our clients, too many conference rooms are actually oversized. Which you can see in the next metric, more than 80% of collaboration interaction is actually between 3 or 4 people, which means typically in a building you need more smaller huddle spaces or smaller conference rooms for people to interact, maybe around a whiteboard, a flip chart, or a smart screen, rather than having all these huge conference rooms in your building. And then the next one I think is a very important one. Already before the pandemic, people obviously were in calls, in Teams calls or in Zoom calls, particularly if you work in an international environment or with multiple sites. And because there was a lack, or there is a lack of space, individual space where you can have such a call without disturbing your colleagues, a lot of people on their own were booking conference rooms. Yeah, actually, a quarter of meetings or meeting rooms were reserved just to have one person sitting in there having a conference call like this one. So that is clearly a huge waste of space, of energy, of effort, which was already visible well before the pandemic started, and that is now accelerated. Another trend that was already there, but that is again accelerated by the pandemic, is the focus on making sure that the working environment is a pleasant environment, is a healthy environment. It came up in the previous topic as well. And a lot of data and slides, and also this one suggests that this is a topic for younger generations. Me being part of a younger generation, I confirm that, but as you can see, I'm not that young. But I think it spans across generations clearly, and there's a lot of scientific evidence now that if you have the wrong combination of, let's say, high CO2 values, high temperature, high humidity, it has a dramatic negative effect on your productivity. You don't feel comfortable, but it really impacts your productivity. So ventilation, clean air, a pleasant environment is very important. We're now obviously very much more aware of that as a result of the COVID pandemic. And it is true that, you know, as there is a war for talent coming on, we get that feedback as well in our hiring. You know, when people walk into a place, does it give you a nice welcoming feeling? Is it energizing? Does it stimulate teamwork? These are things that candidates are looking for when they join a company now. So this is also an important element in attracting and retaining a top quality team and workforce. So there's a contradiction here. On the one hand, we're wasting space. Before the pandemic, already half of the office space was not being used. So you have a fantastic opportunity to cut costs and to shrink the size of your floor space. On the other hand, with the return to the office now, it's unclear exactly how many people will come back to the office and when will you have a peak day? Is it Monday morning or is it Thursday morning? So on the one hand, you want to limit the capacity and do some right sizing of your floor space. On the other hand, you need to make sure that the workplace doesn't get too crowded. So to do that, you need to do real-time monitoring. And to do real-time monitoring, you tend to hit concerns like privacy. How do you protect the privacy of the people? How do you detect crowded areas where social distancing is not being respected? And how do you inform your people on, you know, what the density is on a particular part of your floor space, a building, so that they can go to the right place? And then we have a couple of solutions for that. It's basically all about visualizing things in real time. So you can load floor plans, and with sensor data, with our solutions, you can indicate many things. You can indicate air quality, but as we talk about, you know, the density of where people are, you can easily mark what is reserved, not reserved, what is busy, not busy, with touch points like a big kiosk at the entrance of your floor. We can visualize now calendar add-ins and floor maps that we can include in your Outlook when you make a reservation. There's the traditional room displays, but then obviously more with, let's say, the mobile trends that we have with people constantly on the move. The best thing is obviously to have all that data in the palm of your hand, so that accessing that real-time data, you can look at what the best place is to go and work and sit, to make that individual call or to have a small meeting or a larger meeting in a collaboration space. You can book your rooms, your amenities, book your service request if something is not functioning in your room. Could be the beamer, could be the light, could be the ventilation, as we just talked about in the previous topic. And another important thing is to know and to easily locate, is my colleague in the office? Because we miss physical meetings, they will gradually start coming back. So it's good to know if your colleague that you want to speak to is in the office or not, which floor, so that you can go and see him or her. Yeah. So, and this provides you basically two types of benefits. Before I hand over to Christian, you could say on the left you have the hard benefits. Yeah? So optimizing the space performance can give you savings. You can eliminate floor space, maybe entire buildings. You can save on rent, but also on energy, on utility, cleaning costs, if you right size the floor space. And you can potentially avoid future investments for expansions that you thought were needed that maybe you don't need if you optimize your existing space already correctly. And then on the right, I think those benefits are equally important, is basically the impact on the employee's wellness. And we talk about the employee, but it could be your visitor, your customer, your prospect that is visiting your space. Is it a pleasant environment? Does it feel healthy? Is it going to attract people? And is it going to retain people? And it's basically going to improve the image and the brand strength of your company. So with that, I hope I have cleared the path for Christian within my time. So Christian, I don't see you yet on the screen here, but I hope you're on. Maybe Walter can see that. Christian Goettsche is the head of facility management of PostNord, which is a fusion quite a long time ago of Danish and Swedish postal offices. And with this, I would like to give the word to Christian. And Walter, maybe you can confirm whether he's on the call or not. All right. So Christian, thank you very much for joining us in doing this. And the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Erik van Bael. I'm going to share the experiences we had with using sensors in PostNord. If we could take the next slide. Our challenges has been that our staff has been complaining about an uneven occupancy, meaning somebody had way too much space, they don't complain. People complaining are the one where there's 30% too many people. The reason for that is a bad estimation of how many workspaces do you need. So the challenge is to gather data in a labor-intensive way, getting poor data quality and basing your space management allocation on that. So our solution was to look at sensor technology, install sensors in a building, and capture real-time data. Our expected results would be reliable insights into how we use the space and also more efficient use of our buildings, either by putting more people in or resigning contract or balancing the amount of people we have in the different areas of the building. On the next slide, I'm presenting our roadmap. So first thing we did was to visit a Spacewell customer. It was important to us to have a supplier like Spacewell who could show that they have delivered what we were looking for. We didn't want to be a pilot customer and taking all the risks. After having visited the customer, we did a pilot of around 30 sensors, 15 total in office, in toilet and meeting rooms. And then we did a very fast evaluation. After the evaluation, time came to do a business case. How do we make a pure business case on sensor technology? Because going out buying a lot of sensors without being able to make a business case based on quality and economy makes it very hard for me to get approval for buying that kind of technology. It's important here to state that the benefits is not only about money, it's also about well-being of our colleagues. It's also to make sure we have an attractive workplace where people have a good work life with productivity and quality in what we do. With the business case in place, we did a rollout, and the rollout was on 600 sensors in our Copenhagen office, because we could make a business case in that building. The results and also part of a business case was a partial termination of a rent contract, which was an option in our renting contract. Other results was also facts on how we use the building. If people say, we are sitting way too tight in our home base, I would explain and say, no, you are not sitting tight, but I cannot find any workplaces. Yeah, but you're not using our policy for clean desk, so that's another matter. Another benefit was fast access to lots of data, which we did not see coming as convenient as we have done during the pandemic with COVID-19 the last 1.5 years. Combining the data and the strategic knowledge is really king for us, because the data tells us the history and the current status, and our knowledge tells us the things about the future. If we're looking at economy, we could resign 20% of our workplaces. Anybody would say, yeah, but couldn't you see that you could resign and you had too many available seats? I would say, yes, we could. But when you go to the limit or closer to the limit, it is harder just to use it visually. Data are better. What was a bonus on our benefits was actually a new project where we had to move people around elsewhere in Denmark. And we could suddenly reuse 35 workplaces. And you all know what it costs to establish 35 workplaces with table, chairs, screens, and everything. So that actually made our payback time extremely short. I would say the 35 workplaces paid for the sensors. If I do the last of my slides, the next one, where there are some reflections in the beginning. It's for you to think about and not for me to answer. An important point is that without PostNord's activity-based workplace with flexible seating, I might have had more problems selling this idea, because we are not tracking people. We are checking up on how our buildings are being used. And since we don't know who is sitting where on Monday or Tuesday, I don't know who has been in the building. What is also important to consider is that sensors do not fix all your problems. They don't tell you reasons why it's an area is not being used. That you have to go and check yourself. They know nothing about the future. They can tell you your history, but they don't know that management team has plans to resign 10% of the people or something. That sensors will never tell us. And of course, we don't make decisions. Managers are making the decisions, but data helps managers to make those smart decisions. If I'm going to use them, the question is, should I do it in an ongoing property where we have been for years and are going to stay in for years? I would say yes. It adds a lot of quality to it. If I would move to a different building, for example, if I had 500 workplaces in one building and I'm going to move to another one, I would also put these sensors in, because if you can suddenly save 10% of the new office building, that will add a lot of value, and they are not that hard to move these sensors to a new building. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Walter, back to you, I would say, for the Q&A.
Yes, here we are. So, well, smart and healthy buildings, it's just at a, well, starting point probably, but you guys are doing it. What is the most exciting thing that you have noticed in your buildings?
Well, there have been some eye-openers, but that is not what is changing the big picture. The best thing is that the technology works. If a union representative is coming and telling we should increase the cleaning of the restrooms in this area of the building because we have a lot of employees, I have answered, yeah, you have a lot of employees, but they are not using the restrooms more than anybody else in the building. And that has been one of the detailed values of it, but the big value and the eye-opener is it has been well perceived, both internally in PostNord, but also within my network of facility real estate managers, because they know that we are way in front of a lot of our colleagues in the business, and they can see the value. During the COVID-19 has been a bonus when we were reopening the office with 20%, 25%. Normally you would sit in a line how many can come in, and I would every Friday be able to say we can put in more people and still stay within the recommended 25% occupancy.
Yeah, how do you see that, Eric? What is the most exciting thing that you have noticed in implementing the technology?
Yes, there are a number of things. Thank you, Wouter, and thank you, Christian. So, first of all, what really pleases me to hear, to be honest, is that we have a number of our customers, Christian is not the only one, who is saying, wow, the payback of the technology is actually immediate. Yeah? So that is already a very good thing. The other thing that is interesting, I find, is that with most of our customers, the data, once we start digging into it, and we do that with two types of skills. On the one hand, we have our data scientists who know how to visualize big data and recognize patterns. We also have some domain knowledge in the house from our advisory team, but you start seeing correlations that were not always expected. So what I always like are kind of the surprises. I'm thinking of an example of a very large insurance company who built a new headquarter, and they really did everything the right way from the design phases we were saying on earlier, and still when we looked at the data, the real-time usage of the building, we could see that on the 3 floors, the building had 3 floors, the east side was more used than the west side. For some reason, people were moving to one part of the building, and for a long time it was a mystery why that was. The reaction was to look at, is it the heating, is it too hot, is it too cold? And it turned out to be an external factor. It was the indoor quality of the 4G signal on your mobile phone.
Oh, really?
People tried to use their mobile phone, figured it out, they couldn't use it, and we're all moving to one part of the building.
Because there the connection was better.
Yeah, exactly. So these are things that you wouldn't know until you actually see. I mean, data. When you visualize data, certain trends become obvious, and they tend to trigger the visibility of anomalies. And this can be, this was a crazy example a bit with a mobile phone, but this can be on energy, it can be on other factors as well. So combining the data and doing pattern recognition brings pleasant surprises actually usually to our customers that can improve efficiency, productivity, or well-being.
So integrated design is very important to get everybody to get everything together. How do you see that, Christian, at PostNord? What are the outcomes for the people that work in the building?
Well, first of all, the input part has been much more easy and more accurate. The output part is that we can balance the amount of people in our different home bases. It has not been a traditional cost-saving project. It has been more a quality project with benefits in. And of course, I have aligned this with different managers before doing this. Also, our head of HR. So it comes in the right way. So it has been really good. Fast benefits, and also when we are a very dynamic company and we reorganize a lot and move things around, and that of course it has made it more easy. Also when we are suddenly getting 10% extra customer service employees in due to new tasks, we know, do they fit in, where do they fit in? The existing people, do they use the home base as much as they say they do? So it is really worth going to get these data, absolutely.
Now, Elizabeth, what is your view on this?
Oh, I love this. And I thought they were talking so beautifully about right sizing. I've also done a little bit of research into different types of people in offices and the different needs. I think this is exactly that kind of data analysis that can tell a lot about the different needs of a specific tenant. Can you talk about that a little bit? How tenants differ, how people differ, what, if you found anything interesting in that area?
Yeah, we have found a lot when we were looking, using our data. One of the things was, there was some desk in our building, like Erik mentioned in this case, which were not being used. I said, why are they not being used? Of course I knew that some workplaces with a better view are more attractive than workplaces with a less good view. But these were specific, and I went to look at them by myself visual and say, there's no screens on these tables. I say, now I know why they're not being used. There's no screens. Why are there no screens? Because the project and the people working in that area said they didn't need screens. It would be for people commuting in and out from the countryside. And so I found out that it was maybe not a problem there was no screens, but I just found out they were not being used so often. So we would have capacity there, so maybe more screens would help to it. So that's one case. Another case, which is maybe a bit embarrassing and I should have foreseen, was when you're doing a big company party, you normally use a very limited area of your building to celebrate something, Christmas, whatever. If you don't scale up the service on the toilets, because the toilets are spread out all over the building, but all the party takes place in one corner of the building, and all the people having fun are using the same toilets. I could see we had used them way too much. My mistake, we should have scaled up the cleaning, because when we put so many people in one specific corner having fun, we know what happens. So that is a learning point. So we can see things from data, we can learn things from data, and we can make improvements.
I love that.
And maybe to add to that, we work with a number of service providers where we use the technology actually to steer what we call smart cleaning. So that indeed, where you have that retirement party or an office party, you need to do more cleaning, and then all these conference rooms that haven't been used, you don't need to do them with a fixed schedule. So moving from fixed rhythms and schedules of always doing the same thing, which is a typical cleaning contract. If you move to smart cleaning, you can say this part was used very intensively, this one was not. And for the same cost, or usually at a lower cost, you can actually provide a better quality and a better user experience. And we also applied that to hospitals now, for example, with their COVID wards, to steer the cleaning and the disinfection based on the intensity of the usage of the building.
Yeah, Wouter, isn't it so great? I love getting involved with a building. You can make a great building, and then you can keep a building great. And I feel like this is kind of what that's about, right?
Yeah, that's sure what it is about. Thank you very much, Erik van Bael and Christian Goettsche, for being with us and for this very interesting, use case, of course. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Same here. Thanks for having us. Thank you, Christian.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a great day.